Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast for women. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created the Positive Growth Doctor after years of dealing with societal expectations, self-doubt, and perfectionism. I leveraged my 30 years of experience as a positive psychologist to address limiting beliefs and gain clarity to build confidence and navigate obstacles to achieve a healthier well-being. I knew that pain all too well, so I empower women to achieve confidence and live a positive-centered life. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. And let's get to it. Welcome to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. Do you remember what it was like being an adolescent female? It was hard. Throw in poverty, neurodivergence, all of the awkwardness of the world, and you have quite the conundrum. It's hard when adults and peers don't understand you. And it's hard being an outlier. The very reasons you stood out for so long are some of the reasons you are so successful. You had strengths that others just did not understand. And those strengths ultimately won in the end. And they're a part of the success paradox that I talk about often in my episode. So in this episode, I explore the meaning behind self-concept, which is a central idea connected to one's self-worth and how to make important shifts on the road to internal success that matches your external success so that you can live freely and enjoy life to its fullest. I also share 5 actionable strategies to positively shift your internal beliefs about deserving success that you have worked so hard for, and to see your true value and your true self-worth. So find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app. Please share the podcast with other women to help them grow on their journey. And don't just invite your friends. Extend your reach by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. I appreciate you. I had every reason in the world to feel on top of the world. I was doing exactly what I had been put on this earth to do. And I was helping others who were in extreme emotional pain to come out of the darkness and achieve a higher well-being. Deans and professors recognized my hard work and chose me for elite honors academies and research and honor societies in psychology. It was a far, far cry from my teachers growing up who assumed that I was stupid, lazy, or both. And I was a clinical director by the time I was 23 years old, which is almost unheard of. And I was trusted with immense responsibilities. Again, so different from my formative years. Probably know what I'm talking about. It was those innate strengths and challenging experiences from early on that others did not understand that actually paved the way. So why wasn't I on top of the world? Why did I feel like I had to give more and more of myself? Because I needed to prove that I deserved it. And after all, they told me that I couldn't, but I did. It proved them wrong. I've heard this very same thing from many women over many years that I have worked with and coached. So let's talk about the paralyzing role of self concept for successful women whose internal and external successes don't match up. So, what is self concept? Well, Carl Rogers, who is the father of humanistic psychology, said that self concept is derived from one's ideal self image, and self esteem. Now, many of you know that I'm a professor and I have been for several years. And I noticed that my students um, don't fully understand self esteem and they believe that self esteem and self concept are the same, but they're not. However, there is some overlap there. The ideal self is who you want to be, but your self image is who you currently see yourself as. Whereas self esteem is related to your acceptance of who you are. Sometimes these things just don't match up, which leads to us feeling, and we start developing our sense of self very, very early on. You know, in life, it's based on our beliefs and what we're told by others, who we are surrounded by, sometimes the media. And there's many more variables that are involved in this. The good news is that it is malleable, and that means that it can be changed. Now, in my case, I went off to college. I was surrounded by those who looked beyond poverty and were willing to teach me and saw things in me that were worth nurturing. So why wasn't that enough? Well, when you have had those beliefs for so long, it's hard to see beyond them, right? That that's even when there's proof otherwise, it's still difficult. Other things like perfectionism that have been developed along the way get in the way. And I talk a lot about this in other episodes as well. As I mentioned, self concept is malleable. I want to leave you with 5 ways positively shift your internal beliefs about deserving success that you worked so hard for, and to see your true value and worth. The first is awareness. And I always say it starts with awareness, right? It starts with becoming aware of what you are thinking about yourself. Okay. We are often so hard on ourselves. And identifying those limiting beliefs and catching the negative thought patterns, that gives you an opportunity to turn it around and stop ruminating on them. And the second is to take positive action. So one example would be, who are you surrounding yourself by, right? That are impacting your beliefs. You might need to challenge some of your beliefs and take uncomfortable action. Remember, these are beliefs from a long time ago that you have had for some time that have overstayed their welcome. Kick them to the curb. The third is to change your habit. There are good habits and there are bad habits. So don't make perfectionism a habit, because that's a bad one. Consider starting the day with gratitude and do something positive for yourself. In research, we say garbage in, garbage out. And when that's the case, it's time to take out the trash and invest these that are worthy of you. Okay? The next is to stop the scroll. Yeah, this is a big, big one for so many people. And you don't have to completely get rid of social media, but increase your awareness of how much time you're spending on it and what you're looking at. Those two things matter. Doom scrolling is a real thing. And the number of hours we spend on it is shocking. Create a space to positively scroll on things that are healthy. When you ditch the doom scrolling, it makes all the difference. And the last is to figure out the meaning of life. Now, that's not to say for everyone what that looks like. It looks different for each of us. And for me, that is to love others as commanded by God. Love is so incredibly powerful. And, that doesn't mean you can love others and not hate yourself. Love others and also have compassion for yourself. That is loving yourself. Compassion for others and you. That is important. So I'm going to share what that looks like for me, because it's been a game changer. Okay. In regards to my own self-worth, major game changer. Now, your higher power might be different than mine, and that's okay. So think about this and then see what the figuring out the meaning of life, what that means for you. Now, I've always believed in God, but I think that my relationship with him has changed over the years, and for the better, because I understand my faith better. So it was he who actually called me to work with women. So I take that very, very seriously. And it was during a time when I was suffering from sepsis and unsure I was even going to leave the hospital. And that's when it was just laid on me so heavily. That this is what I was supposed to do, working with women. And that was, I was getting out of the hospital and I was going to work with women. And I take that very seriously. So what are you called to do in this life? What is your meaning in life? And it took me a very, very long time to realize that what I did in life, the good, the bad, the ugly, I was loved. And not only that, I was worthy of love and compassion. I knew that all the missteps, they did not define me. Okay? And that they were opportunities to grow and to learn. And we weren't promised a life without problems. We just weren't. However, he promised strength, his presence, and guidance. And the good, throughout the good, the bad, and the ugly. And this has been a major contributor of my awareness and my true self-worth. And no one can take that away from me. It comes from him. It took me so long to figure that out. And it was a game changer. I hope this helped. And remember, you are worthy. And you are loved. Okay? So let's meet up again next week for another episode.
Thanks for listening to the Positive Growth Doctor podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other women about the podcast. Let's support one another. Find the full transcript for this episode on your favorite podcast app. Watch the podcast on the Positive Growth Doctor YouTube channel and learn more at thepositivegirldoctor.com. And be assured, you are not alone on your journey